Good morning. My name is Alex Taylor, and I'm the Manager of Communications and Digital Marketing at NC Tech. For those of you who might have not heard of NC Tech, we are the unifying voice for the tech sector in North Carolina, with pillars of work being in talent development and workforce, peer networking, government affairs and advocacy, and then general convening of the tech space in North Carolina. If you would like to learn more about NC Tech, please go to nctech.org. We are excited to partner with a purpose partnership for this virtual workshop today. This is on building a strong online presence through social media, specifically from the lens of a tech company. A couple of housekeeping items that I wanted to cover before we get started. The session will be recorded, with a recording of the session being sent out to all registrants after this session concludes. So maybe later today or early tomorrow morning. And then we also will have time at the end for questions. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A function down below. We'll try our best to get to all these questions at the end of the presentation. And then I would now like to introduce Chuck Hester and Adam Sinkus with a Purpose Partnership. With decades of combined experience in marketing, strategic comms, and sales, these two are a wealth of knowledge, and I'm excited to hear what they have to say today. Chuck and Adam, I'll let you take it away. Thanks.
Good. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. Appreciate NC Tech hosting us as well. So let's start with just a couple quick introductions. I have 40 years of experience in public relations marketing, social media marketing, content marketing, and Adam and I partnered we're going on 3.5 years ago now to create a Purpose Partnership, which is basically a anti-agency, if you will. We work with partners and partner with our clients to develop their marketing and their needs. And we also work with a bunch of strategic partners as well, and allow them to decide what projects they want to work on, which is totally different from a lot of agencies. So I'm based in Raleigh, and I'll turn it over to my partner Adam for a minute to a quick introduction as well.
Yeah, appreciate that. So my name's Adam Sinkus. I've been working in operations and marketing for the better part of going on about 15 years now. I range in expertise from the technical side of SEO to website content and development, and also social media management. I'm also a data junkie as well. So yeah, I like to dig deep into the analytics of everything that's going on as well. So excited to share our wealth of information with everybody today.
Yeah, and again, I'll echo what Alex has said. Basically, NC Tech is one of the best organizations if you are in technology in the North Carolina area, and that includes Charlotte and Wilmington, Greensboro, all over. Very strong network of folks that you get a chance to deal with, and we're coming up on the big event of NC Tech Awards coming soon. So let's get into it. So what I always like to let you know what you can expect today. We're going to walk through how to build a strong social media foundation and create engaging content, which is incredibly important, and then strategies for measuring success and attributing ROI. You can do social media, that's great, but if you have whether it's a board of directors or a president or an exec VP that wants to know why are you doing social media and how is it making a difference for the ROI, we'll talk about that. And one of the things that when Adam and I present, we like to give you actionable tactics to elevate your social media and stay ahead of the competition. And so we'll get into that. So there you go.
Cool. So we're gonna dive into some trends, stats, some strategies here. So really what it comes down to, the majority of social media, the majority of tech companies are using social media to reach their target audience, right? What that means for you is if you're not totally utilizing it, you're missing out on a huge opportunity, right? Big players like Hootsuite and Google and Meta, they're obviously all over social media, and there's a reason for that. So kind of following suit and understanding what they're doing, I think, is really important. They also feel it's a really important part of their marketing strategy. And really, I think one of the things that's starting to come, and it's been a couple years now, but it's starting to come more forefront, is video content is becoming a key part of social media as well. So, and then what I think is really interesting, especially with the with the oncoming of AI and some of the tools there, social media is also becoming a primary channel where a lot of companies are providing tech support right through their social media channels as well. So, really cool opportunities to kind of expose your brand based on what everybody else is doing already. And we'll talk more about some strategies to get there, but kind of the big challenges that we see, in some of that pushback when we're talking to different companies is difficulty in measuring ROI. What is it, what's the value of being on social media? How much money am I going to make from it is a common question. Limited resources, right? The reality is it takes time to build social media calendars, to build your content, to put your content out there, to answer all the questions and inquiries. A lot of times, especially in the startup space, you might not have the team to do that, right? And so how do you become smarter about that? There are some compliance and regulatory issues that always need to be considered, especially in fields like healthcare, where HIPAA and things like that come into play. And then negative feedback and crisis management, right? We've all probably seen that tweet or that Facebook post slamming, a really terrible experience at a restaurant, a store, any number of places. And so it can be a challenge as a company when you're forward on social media to how do you respond to that effectively and efficiently and kind of make it better and make it right. So we're gonna do a little poll in the chat here. So what is the best social media platform for companies? Feel free to put in what you think. You got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got Twitter, you got LinkedIn, Reddit as well, is becoming a big place as well. So feel free to, we'll give everybody just a minute to drop that into the chat. Julie, I like your answer. I agree with that one 100%. See a lot of LinkedIn on here. I think LinkedIn has value. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll give you just another 20 seconds here. All right. Yeah, there's technically no wrong answer to that question. Just curious where you guys are at. So, all right. I'm going to lean it over to Chuck here.
Sounds good. One of the most important aspects that you're going to run into, and we talked with our clients or potential clients, is figuring out where your audience lives and understanding the demographic that you're dealing with. Because based on that information, you're going to decide where you're going to be emphasizing the social media work that you're going to do. We always have a phrase, pick two. It's basically find two social media channels that you want to use and concentrate on those. Don't try to be everything. Just because Adam's over on Instagram doesn't mean I want to be on Instagram if it's not my audience. So the most important aspect of it is analyzing the demographics, everything from age, gender, income, location, and researching their values and their lifestyles. That can be an important thing. With that, we work with our clients to create a buyer persona, which is that demographic information, but also the pain points and challenges they may have and what's motivating them in order to be a potential customer buyer. And that's what we're looking at. Okay.
All right.
So let's talk about choosing the right platforms. One thing I might want to mention too, I'm a LinkedIn trainer for executives and executives in transition, and I've been doing that for close to, golly, we're going on 20 years almost now. LinkedIn is the B2B platform that you want to want to use. If your audience is B2B companies, industry leaders, and executives, that's where you want to be. A lot of good, effective posts and insights and trends, achievements, milestones, and great networking opportunities. The interesting aspect of it, and Adam touched on it briefly, and we'll get more into it later. But LinkedIn, about 3 years ago, approximately, said, we need to be a multimedia platform and not just a stagnant platform with just text. So they've been emphasizing video on their algorithm as well as carousels, infographics, and the like. A lot of people don't understand that, and honestly, you can take advantage of that in that if you add videos or infographics, you may have a tendency to come up in the algorithm because that's what they're looking for. Okay. And Facebook, B2C, but I will give you also B2B to a certain extent. That's coming up more. It's a social community, 18 to 65, so it's a wide range. But a significant number is the 25 to 45-year-olds, with a lot of visuals, memes, stories, community events, local news, interactive content. Their emphasis is personal stories and experiences. There are, and Adam is a moderator on several. I am involved with several NC Techs in there as well, Facebook groups that are business oriented and do a lot of cool networking in the area. In North Carolina, in particular, in Raleigh, there's several, in addition to NC Tech, that will publish events and things that are coming up. So it's a place where you can reach an audience. And one of the aspects of what we do with our clients is we work with folks in regards to how to interact with those groups and make yourself known and make yourself a resource. Okay. Instagram, not one that I'm on a regular basis, but it's a younger demographic, especially millennials and Gen Zs. Lifestyle, fashion, beauty, travel, food. Taylor Swift's favorite social media platform, but it's all about the images and the videos. That's really what it's all about. Stories and reels, behind the scenes content, a lot of user generated and influencer collaborations, and engaging hashtags for discoverability. So they emphasize hashtags and captions that make a difference as far as that goes. Again, it's a very visual platform. And while there are some B2B, a lot of it's B2C, but if you are, like, for instance, if you're a restaurant, or a venue or whatever it may be, concert venue and the like, Instagram is probably where you want to be.
Yeah, I would also add beauty brands do really, really, really well on Instagram as well.
Mm-hmm. I've been saying this for the past year, but I think eventually it's going to happen. We'll see. Lack of a better way to put this, I think X is dead. I post on a weekly basis every Friday a post that started out on what was then Twitter, and the engagement there has gone down significantly, where it's almost nothing. But it is still used by folks who are interested in news and tech. The range is 18 to 49. Real-time information seekers. If I'm interested in finding out something quickly, I may go to X first to be able to look at that. They do have a restriction on the character count that you can use on X, and being able to be involved with that. Like we said, real-time updates, some polls and questions, and again, memes over there as well, to be able to look at that. But again, I would say when we work with our clients, this is probably the least popular platform that we suggest for them, because it really doesn't. There's not a lot of traction behind that.
Yeah, I would add it moves so fast too, that staying relevant on there, you pretty much have to be on it all day. So, that goes back to what we were talking about, those limited resource challenges that we mentioned earlier.
Okay. And one of the most important aspects of, and this is what we work with, and we mentioned AI briefly we work with one of our partners who is what we call our AI editor. And it's basically working with our clients and figuring out what their brand voice is and the visual identity. And as a result, then being able to, we may use AI to generate some ideas or whatever, but she goes in and really edits to the voice. It's important to define your brand voice. You need to have a unique brand voice that folks can identify with. And the reason that you want that is that people are looking for consistency. So define a character, whether it's professional, friendly, quirky, and by the way, one of the aspects of AI that I love to death is you can ask AI questions about based on what you see, give them 2 or 3 links. What would you think my brand voice should be, or what does that look like? Choose vocabulary that resonates with your target audience. You're going to speak a little differently on LinkedIn than you may on Instagram, or for that matter, Facebook. Business oriented on LinkedIn, a little more casual on Facebook. That's what you look at. And again, it's the consistency that we want to look at, maintaining that uniform tone across all platforms. That includes your website. That includes the blogs that you may do. That includes the LinkedIn company page. So make sure all of that is consistent so folks are able to see and don't have to try and figure out who you are, what's the brand all about, what is that different look at. And then on the visual identity side, you want a really cool logo that reflects your brand, and make sure the colors that you use conveys that personality, but also is consistent across all of your platforms as well. And we will put together for our clients what is known as the brand book. And that's basically brand guidelines to be able to say, yes, you can use this. We have the blue and the green for our logos, and make sure that don't ever make it a black and white, those type of things. It's important to have that ability. So if you're working with other partners or vendors, you can give them that and say, hey, this is what it looks like. Or for that matter, if someone new is coming into your organization, you can say, this is the brand guidelines that we're looking for. Because the worst thing you can do to really torpedo a brand is start using stuff that's not consistent, and folks are going, oh, okay, I don't quite understand why they're doing that. So that's important to be able to all the way across here is consistency and personality. Those are the 2 important things.
All right. So another poll. So drop your thoughts in the chat here. What is your favorite type of social media content? Is it text? Is it video? Is it pictures? Is it memes? What is it? Okay, see quite a bit of text, a few memes in there. Carousel posts, text and video. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, there's I would say there's probably no wrong answer to that question either, right? It's just how you approach it in your strategy. So we're going to dive into that, right? So when we think about creating content, we think about it in a few different ways. And I always start off with, what am I trying to portray or accomplish with it? It might be something like maybe I'm trying to become a thought leader in a specific area, or maybe I'm trying to resonate out my brand voice, or in some cases, I'm trying to sell a product. So I always start with that purpose. Here's some ideas, just some ideas on ways you can develop your content. So one of the easiest things to do is share insights on latest trends and industry news. So if you service, say, accounting firms with your technology, don't just share technology stuff, but share industry news about what's happening in technology in accounting specifically, right? So use technical language that will match your audience expertise, right? So, Don't go in and use, 25 acronyms that only people in your specific tight knit circle will use. We call that alphabet soup. Get away from the alphabet soup and make the language understandable. I always shoot for around a ninth to 10th grade level of reading comprehension. And that usually makes it pretty attainable for most audiences. So, create educational content that provides values and solves problems. Think about the problems your customers are having and create value around those problems. When you start to show them how you can solve their problems through content, all of a sudden you'll start to get some reciprocation, some phone calls and things like that. Hey, you shared this, and now I have that problem, but I don't know how exactly you did that. So let's talk about it. I love infographics, charts, and data. You can use videos as well. I think on LinkedIn, you're seeing a lot more of the fun videos that represent stories, and I think that's awesome, kind of an awesome way to tailor content. But infographics are great too. People love a good chart as long as it's clear what the chart is trying to tell you. Encourage interaction by asking questions and encouraging user-generated content. So I like to leave most of my posts with some sort of question at the end of it. Get people talking in the comments. And the key there is once they start talking in the comments, you need to spend some time responding to it. It doesn't have to be right away, but you should attempt to reply to every comment. And then I think the big one is leveraging employee advocacy by giving your teams content to share, right? So as a brand, you've created that brand voice, you've got that unique perspective, and now we put that into a nice package that your employees can then go out to their personal pages and share about all the exciting things that you're doing and all the knowledge that your company is sharing. So Chuck, anything to add there on employee advocacy?
Um, I think one of the aspects of employee advocacy that a lot of people don't understand is the employees don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting. We have a methodology that allows an email to go out to employees that says, hey, here's a new post, like, comment, share it, just by clicking on one link, as opposed to, hey, go out on our LinkedIn page, find that post, and then like, comment, share it. Does make a big difference. We call it the magnification method, if you will. So basically, what happens is if you have one business that has, say, 1,000 followers, but you have 5 employees that have a cumulative 60,000 followers, it's a lot better to have them share that information as well. Understanding, and LinkedIn in particular, it's the aspect of that the employee owns their LinkedIn content. It's not something that you can dictate per se. The only thing you can say is this is the description of the company, and therefore that's what you've got to use. But past that, but you can make suggestions. You can also in that email send along, hey, this is an idea for how you can respond or a comment that you can make. So it does make a difference to be able to do that. The other aspect of that is that engages the employees and makes them feel like they're part of the team and they're actively involved in the marketing efforts that you look at. And for future employees as well, to be able to see employee interaction with social media for you can be a good recruiting tool.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about video, right? So there's a couple different ways to go about video. There's pre-recorded, there's live, there's having somebody else record it and done for you. But one of the things that I think is an awesome opportunity for businesses is hosting live streaming events. The value there to me is that you're going to put out some information on the topic and you're going to get live feedback via the comments and chat as you're on that video. One of the most effective ways I've seen this used is I've seen some creators take a topic of the day and they just go on for about 30 minutes and they just do live Q&A about that topic. So, it might be, generating marketing content using AI could be the general broad topic, right? And now, it's kind of an ask me anything format or forum in the comments, and those seem to be picking up a lot of steam, especially on TikTok and Facebook right now. So, great opportunities to get your brand out there. What I love about that is it comes across very genuine because they see you as the person, not just as words on a page. So, podcasting, huge. There's a huge market for that. There's somewhere around 2 million active podcasts right now across the world and various topics. Anything you can possibly imagine, there's probably a podcast for it. So, the I find that guesting on podcasts is a huge opportunity to get out in front of a new audience. So being a guest on somebody else's podcast, they may have an audience that is different than yours. The one thing I will say about guesting, though, is do your research on those podcasts that you're thinking about being a guest on. Don't go on Joe's Handyman Makeover if you're trying to talk about technology, right? And it isn't related to technology for handymen, because you're going to get the wrong audience there. So
Well, and a good example, we've got a client that is Cyber Global North Carolina. He's a cybersecurity expert. Easy to go on the cybersecurity podcast, but more importantly, the verticals that he works with is finance and technology and the like. So find a finance podcast that he could be a guest on to be able to talk about the issues that we run into, education and the like. That's a tactic that we use on a regular basis to help our clients get further marketing.
yeah, absolutely. And then, the one thing I absolutely love, especially with AI tools, is how you can repurpose your content. There's a bunch of tools out there that you can actually take and dump your video, your podcasts right into. It'll give you a full transcript. It will also break it down into content chunks. And then from there, you can start writing blogs. You can make social posts from it. You can make video snippets from it. And so that one 30-minute podcast now just became 20, 30, 40 pieces of content. And it can be hugely impactful. And then the last piece is if you're going to do video, be consistent with it. If you just show up, once in a blue moon on video, people aren't going to be there. But if you're constantly on video, constantly putting yourself out there, you'll start to build an audience that will look for that. So, for podcasts, especially if you're going to run your own podcast, trying to be consistent on what day you launch, what day you release new episodes, things like that, is hugely impactful to your success in building an audience.
Yeah, and I think before we move into my data merge favorite subject, which is ROI and analytics, one of the things that we work with our clients on is being able to talk about, okay, I'm not a content creator. I having trouble posting and doing whatever. There are ways to, like Adam has said, repurpose the content that, basically it's build once, use multiple times, to be able to use that, and using AI as well. And Adam, I'm gonna kind of freelance this here as well. I'd like to do one more poll, and that is ask the question: are you using AI for your marketing? And if you are, what engine are you using? Because there's multiples out there. We are a Google shop, and I'm a Gemini guy. That's part of what I end up doing, but a wide variety of different things. And Perplexity is starting to come up pretty well as well, Julie, because I think a lot of it, they do some really cool co-marketing where folks can get Perplexity for free right now. So that makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I just got a notice if you have a paid LinkedIn subscription, they're slowly rolling out a year of Perplexity Pro free.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple different platforms that are doing it. With,
yeah,
one of our good, yeah.
ChatGPT, Gemini, all great ones. I live in a service called Poe, which isn't an actual AI engine. It's a conglomerate of a bunch of AI engines, and you can actually engineer your own bots and things through it as well. So super cool. We actually have a blog outlining tool that we use quite frequently that we built in there to that uses the ChatGPT 4 engine to build out essentially a blog outline for whatever topic, and it pulls things from Google for SEO and such. So lots of
And
cool tools out there.
And shout out to one of our good friends, Austin Armstrong, who runs an organization called Syllabi. But he gave me this prompt, and it really makes a difference. If you have not done this, try this. And that is basically give me 5 questions that will allow you to understand and utilize my voice. Ask that of your engine, and then come back, answer those questions, and that educates. The thing about AI, which is interesting, is it really is a machine learning platform. So it learns as it goes and makes updates to what you're trying to do based on the information that you give it first. So ask those questions. It's like questions of and it came back on me as like, okay, so what is your conversational style? Is it business? Is it formal? Is it informal? Those type of things can make a difference for you as well.
Absolutely. All right. The last and final poll for the day. When you're thinking about social media, what is the most important success measurement or KPI that you're looking at for your marketing content? So, thinking about all the social media metrics, what do you think is the most important one? Again, no wrong answers. Reach rate, shares. All right. Okay, brand penetration, number of leads. All right. A lot of great answers here. TTR, yep. I'd call that probably a conversion, Samantha. Cool. All right, so we're gonna get into my nerdiness with analytics here. So a couple things I look at 4 kind of key performance indicators from a content perspective. There's obviously some other stuff. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, but engagement rate, people that are liking, commenting, and sharing your comment or your content. Engagement rate shows how connected your audience is to your brand. And so, if you're putting content out there and you're not getting any likes, comments, or shares to it, likely it's not speaking to them in the way you need it to. So we look at that from a content perspective. Conversion rate, and everybody's conversion rate is going to be a little bit different, but ultimately, we're looking at measuring the completed actions, right? So is that going to a website Samantha, like you mentioned, going to a website to book a meeting? Is that buying, clicking to buy a product? What does that look like for your business? Some people, conversion is just the fact that they go from social media to their website, and that's okay, right? There's brand awareness campaigns that I think are important in your overall marketing strategy. Customer acquisition cost, right? So, if you're running paid campaigns, how much is it costing you to get each new customer? Even looking at it from organic campaigns as well, right? You've got a marketing cost of either time, or paying somebody to do that. So, how much does it cost you to actually get a new customer? And then follower growth rate. Typically, on a startups type company, we're looking for a little more of an aggressive growth rate. And then on companies that are, a little been around a little bit longer, have larger followings, that growth rate is going to slow, but what we're looking for is kind of a steady growth rate. So, again, growth rate to me is something that's very individualized based on the needs and the size and scale and scope of what's already happening in social media. So, other things we look at is ROAS, right? Return on ad spend, and this is more in your paid space, right? So, and this is very industry specific as well, but kind of a general rule of thumb is, you're shooting for making at least double whatever you're spending on your marketing efforts to get customers through those channels. So, again, each
And one other thing,
industry is different.
yeah, one other thing I want to mention, and probably should have done it with the employee advocacy. We also work with our clients, and it's important in general to have what we call influencers and advocates. Advocates are folks who actually use your service, software, whatever that may be, and talk about it and say, "Yeah, this is the best thing I've ever used. I really enjoy using it." Influencers are folks who have very large audiences and are willing to repost or follow or do whatever. And we specifically work with our clients to develop those relationships because that can make a difference. And honestly, we're not talking about spending thousands of dollars to get these folks to engage. It really is. It can be an organic situation as well. So,
Absolutely. All right. So the big question of the day always in marketing is, how do we demonstrate value to our stakeholders, right? Because things like sales and operations usually have a direct value to benefit. But marketing doesn't always have that. And so, so when we look at it, we look at, especially with social media, difficulty in attributing ROI, especially if your strategy is all organic and you have no paid channels. Limited visibility into customer behavior. Social media platforms are shrinking the bubble on what you can see about visitors on your page. And from an individual perspective, it's a good thing. From a business perspective, not so much, right? It may add some challenges. And then the last kind of piece is that, we know that in the rule of sevens, right? In marketing, it takes roughly 7 to 10 touch points for a customer to really start engaging with you. So, how are you getting to those 7 to 10 checkpoints, touch points, and that's through your content. So, what do we, how do we overcome these challenges in communication, and what do we need to do, right? So first is we need to pull all the data, followers, engagement rates, those KPIs we were just talking about. We need to pull all that together, and we need to look at that over time and go, here's what it's done, and here's how we've grown our followers, our engagement rate, our conversions, our click-throughs, things like that. We need to focus on business outcomes, right? So what's important to our stakeholders? Is it sales? Is it brand recognition? Focus on the outcome that's important to the stakeholders that you're presenting to or talking to about it. Use visualizations and dashboards. We use Agorapulse as our social media posting tool, and they have wonderful dashboards as well as reports that we can automate to actually just email out at the end of every month as a cadence to understand what's going on, so that we can send that directly to our stakeholders, to our clients, and go, here's what's happening in your social media. And then we meet and talk about it. Provide regular reporting that goes right back into that, right? Each of the channels does have reporting tools, though I find it's very timely, very time consuming to go into each individual channel, pull the data, create the charts, create the visuals, and pull it all together. So, and then think about how you're using social media to support business objectives, right? That should always be kind of the wrap up of what you're talking to your stakeholders about, right? Is the business poised for growth? Is the business trying to find a new segment of customers? What are you doing within your social media strategy to leverage that and help enhance that business objective.
And one of the most important aspects is building a baseline to be able to compare where we are, how we started out versus where we are a month from now, 3 months from now, whatever. We're 6 months into an engagement with a client, and we're building out a follow-up report. And again, shout out to Agorapulse on a lot of that, be able to do that. But we will start with a social media audit and being able to figure out, okay, how many followers you have right now, what's the engagement rate look like, and then look at that 1 month, 2 month, 3 month out to be able to compare. And the hope there is that there is improvement, and a good percentage of time there is. But it's important, especially when you're talking to stakeholders. Say you have a VP of marketing that you're working with, and you want to say, okay, here's where we are right now. And then here's where we have come after 3 months or 6 months within the program that we've implemented, to be able to really justify the value of the program that you're doing.
Yeah. I also, that just reminded me, I also was going to mention that, there's going to be times, because these algorithms change constantly, where you might see some setbacks. Being wise to what's going on with the algorithms a little bit, and understanding, like, when Google or when Meta drops a major algorithm update, which is pretty widely acceptable, pretty widely spread in the news once it happens, and what the impacts might be, and communicating to that to your stakeholders will help you overcome those times where you might see a little dip as well. If you can talk to it and you can show a clear reason why, and a path to come out of it, you can continue to be successful there.
And one of the other things we need to emphasize is, yes, weekly stats are great, but if you're sitting there looking at it weekly, you're not getting the big picture, and you really need to look at it on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis to be able to understand that. And don't panic if for some reason there is a dip. That there's a good chance that that's going to smooth out. But again, be careful of what I call, clock watching or data watching, if you will, to be able to say, okay, well, last week it was this, but this week it's that. That's not good. Well, let's give it a couple of months or a couple of weeks and see where we are. So that's why we report on a monthly basis as opposed to every week basis, to be able to look at that. All right. As we mentioned, Alex mentioned earlier, if you've got questions you want to throw into the chat, we'd love to take a look at that. But I always like to finish up with what we discussed today, and that is strong social media foundation, creating engaging content and the like, discovering strategies for measuring success and attributing ROI, as well as actionable tactics to help elevate your social media game and stay ahead of the competition. And so there we go. All right. So last slide, and then we'll get to Alex. So this is our contact information. Feel free to reach out to one or both of us. My favorite expression is, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, all I ask is you say in your message, Chuck, your presentation rocked. And I will definitely answer the connection request to be able to do that. And then also download a complimentary guide to learn more about social media calendars and taking your marketing to the next level. There is a URL there as well to be able to do that. And we'll also, I think probably we can put that in the chat, Adam, so that they can click on it to be able to look at that. But and one of the other things I wanted to mention too, with AI and marketing, really, it's just prevalent like you would not believe. One of the most important aspects of it, it's almost counterintuitive these days. And I've got it time blocked on my calendar at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I have a thing that says, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, text somebody, reach out to them directly, go to coffee, like the old days, like we used to do, to be able to look at that, because people aren't necessarily expecting that. And it's a way to get above the noise, if you will, and really make your marketing efforts noticed, and we'll take it from there. So Alex, with that, we will take questions. I appreciate you hosting as well. And again, my commercial, I'm on the board of advisors for NC Tech, truly believe in the organization. If you are not a member of NC Tech, right, please reach out and or at least at the minimum come to one of the Brews and Bites or some of the other really cool events that are coming up. Being able to take a look at that.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you, Chuck and Adam. If y'all want to put some questions down in the Q&A function, we will get to questions now. And we actually already have one, and it's one of my questions as well. So, what platforms other than the ones you've mentioned are you seeing kind of like coming to the forefront? Alan specifically is wondering about Blue Sky and Threads. Are there any others you see that are like on the horizon?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, go ahead.
Good. Oh, all right. I'll go ahead. I'll start, and then you can follow
You
in.
got it.
So Blue Sky is interesting. I've played in it, and I'm not seeing as much traction there as I think people were anticipating. Threads is a mixed bag. I think it's very industry agnostic, is what I've seen. Some industries are doing really, really well in there. But like TikTok, right? It's um, or like Twitter, X, it's you have to be on top of it all day, every day, right? And it moves very, very fast. Other platforms, Reddit, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, I think are kind of the big three that we didn't really talk about today, but all serve, I think, a great purpose and have huge visibility.
And our specialty, by the way, is B2B service industries and the like. I don't believe that we've ever actually posted to TikTok for our clients, but that's another story. I like to call it the flavor of the week or the flavor of the month, if you will. And I have been on Threads, I've been on Blue Sky, you name it, I've been on it only because I've got influencers that are on it. I want to double check it. The other thing, we want to make sure that if our clients are interested and understand it, we can help them out with that. But I would take, a couple of months and be able to watch that particular platform and see where that goes. Because a lot of times again, the flavor of the month, if you will, is not, it may not be around in 2026. So something to consider.
Yeah.
So if someone just
Substack
yeah.
is another. I'm looking at this right now. Yeah, Substack. A lot of people, especially the folks who have been bloggers for a long time, Substack is a great place to be able to do that as a content engine. Again, though, it does take some time to be actively involved in that, just like any other platform.
Yeah. We got a question. Do you think the KPIs introduced here are working for B2B? Absolutely. When we look at things like conversions and engagement, those all tie directly back into sales, brand recognition, and the likes. And, whether you're B2C, B2B, those are critical pieces. And then I think adding in there for LinkedIn, right, direct connections, and new connections is a huge piece of the B2B puzzle. We didn't directly mention that, but that is, I think, the other part of it that we look at in the B2B space.
Yeah, and again, that's and also the influencer advocates of folks who may have, if you connect with me, for instance, it's not a humble brag, but I have 23,000 direct connections on LinkedIn. So my network will amplify your message as well. But it's important to be able to take a look at that and see where that goes. The other aspect of the ROI is, what are you trying to accomplish, as Adam has mentioned, and how can you use those KPIs to be able to do that? I've been doing KPIs forever, but you really need to understand, and again, tie back to what is the business outcome that you're hoping to accomplish. You're not going to look at something that has nothing to do with what your business is. You're going to be very specific. And that's why we build dashboards and use Agorapulse and the like to be able to say, okay, here's the 6 things that we want to accomplish over the next 6 months during this program, sorry. To be able to look at that. So understand your audience, understand your business outcomes, and why do we want to make sure we do that? I will tell you that and maybe a VP of marketing, or it could be a CEO or a CMO, they may not totally understand exactly what social media is all about. Some of them may be old school. So being able to tie that back to, yeah, that's great, but look at the sales bump that we've had, or the number of leads that have come in, or the calls that our sales folks have been able to do as a result, or even the brand recognition to be able to look at that.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have another question. Is LinkedIn getting better in providing results data for advertisers?
I think it's always been a good analytical engine, and my left brain partner can answer that a little better maybe, to be able to look at that. They are all about the data. They're also all about the data that you pay for, is the best way to describe it. So unless you have a premium account for social on LinkedIn, you may not get all the analytics you want, but as an advertiser, you definitely do. And the dashboards are there, and available to you, and downloadable as well, to be able to look at that.
Yeah, I would say that much like Google Ads, you have to understand the data that's being presented to you on those dashboards. It's all there. It just might not be, if you're not super familiar with all the terminology that they use, it might not be as clear. Oftentimes I will export those data feeds into Data Studio, or what's called Looker Studio now on Google, and kind of create my own dashboard views so that I can get a more visual perspective of what's happening. That's, I think, the only thing that is lacking in the LinkedIn metrics is the lack of good visuals for what's actually happening with your ads.
I'll give you an analogy, partner. So, it's kind of like when you're a rock climber and you climb your local mountains, that's one thing. But when you're trying to climb Mount Whitney or whatever it may be, you need a guide. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Somebody that understands that. And that's the other aspect of the overall thing that we like to talk about is, you're in business for your passion, and your passion may not be marketing. It may not be analytics or social media. Come working with partners who are passionate about that, can make a difference as far as how your marketing programs can go.
Awesome. One of my questions was, how do y'all stay posted on like those algorithm changes or like just social media trends? Like what kind of like things are y'all consuming?
Yeah. Um, I spend a lot of time. So CNET does a lot of really good reporting on algorithm changes. They seem to be up and up on that. So I spend a ton of time there. Honestly, I've just used my AI tools, specifically Gemini to just find where the knowledge comes from, and I've created feeds, RSS feeds that kind of feed that. And so it's at this point, I think my primary Google thread is probably made up of about 250 sources of
Hmm.
information. So I would say the one thing that you should always look at in all those algorithm change announcements is validity across multiple sources, because somebody will say something's not working, they changed the algorithm, and well, they might have made a small tweak. It's really just something that person did, not an actual algorithm change. So look for similarities across multiple sources to validate.
Yeah, and I use several of experts, marketing experts, and the like, and data experts. There's one in particular, Christopher Boone, who's probably one of the best as far as that goes. And they keep up on that stuff and they validate what's going on. There's also some really cool newsletters out there that can come out on a daily basis. Marketing Brews one, for instance, to be able to look at that. Please repeat the sources, Adam.
CNET is probably CNET, and then using the Google AI tools, Gemini, to kind of to search for news sources is a good place to start. Tom's Hardware also seems to be up and up on that stuff. They're a little more on the data center side of it than they are on the consumer side of it, but they tend to report on that as well. So
And you
Awesome.
can create a good Google alert to say updates on algorithms for X, whatever platform you're interested in.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are kind of 5 minutes from the hour, so I will go ahead and start wrapping up. But thank you again, Adam and Chuck, for your expertise on this topic. It was super informative. And we appreciate working with y'all on this webinar. And we love having Chuck, you as a board of advisor. And thank you for being such an awesome advocate for NC Tech. But yeah, so if you have any questions, go to nctech.org on upcoming programming, membership, all that good stuff. And then I will also send a follow-up email either later today or tomorrow morning with the recording from today's session, as well as some information about a purpose partnership. If you're interested in working with them. So, but saying that, I will go ahead and close the session for today. Thank you all for joining.